we had the idea of targeting the whole city with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, until we looked at the numbers and realised that it was not going to be a cheap event. So we got in touch with the City Council, and they put us in touch with the children's centres as different organisations to work with. Since then we've changed our approach. We're looking more to the political wards as opposed to the children's centres, because children's centres are going to change. We had to raise money. We raised it from local charities. We had raised money from the City Council employees. Dolly Parton has been to town twice, and we've done bucket collections. And we've also, because of the connection we've had with the City Council, we've had substantial money from Carillion and Into. We started off in Bilborough on a scheme where we took in children and registered them at birth. And we thought this would be better, rather than registering a 4-year-old and only letting them have a few books, as opposed to being at birth, potentially they would have 16 books or for their registration period. And we also said that we would only register when we had sufficient funds in the bank to sustain the cost of that book. So it would ensure it meant a deal of about 50 pence a week for a newly registered child. We also had a situation where we needed to locate and make contact with the children, and it was not easy with lists until we found that the city care health visitors have got a statutory obligation to see every newborn child in the city. So we organised and designed a system whereby the health visitor who goes and sees a newborn child will give them the opportunity of joining the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We then had a break, a very good break, through another Rotarian, Gary Crofts, who is a trustee of Castle Cavendish, an inner city charitable trust. We went along and had a word with them, and they committed to fund 1,000 children in the Hyson Green, Radford and Dunkirk area, in extension to the Bilborough where we had started. We then thought we would like to see whether they go for some really big money and go for a lottery bid. And I don't know whether anyone's ever been involved with doing a lottery bid. They ain't easy. But at the same time, the City Council were putting together a lottery application which they agreed that we would be part and parcel of the group who they were applying for, because the application was for cities who got a special social need at the bottom end. And to cut a long story short, we were successful, and they had a scheme that was called Small Steps, Big Changes, which extended our coverage to the Arboretum, Aspley, Bulwell and St Anne's. We've now got a combined effort with working with the City Council, City Care, the health visitors, Rotary Administration and the Dolly Parton Foundation. And we meet 4 times a year, courtesy of the Loxley House, and we have good contact with them for statistics and information. We learnt last week at the last meeting that there, bless you, that there has been some more money that came out of the lottery, which was initially aimed at other parts of town, which they can direct our way, and we understand that we will extend by the end of this year to the Dales and Bridge wards of the City Council by the end of the year, which should be quite a significant improvement.
just working out where the ward was
Yeah,
geographically.
Bridges, Lace Market, because I used to live in Bridges.
It's down by Stanton and St Anne's, and then the Meadows. Those two areas are.
Down in the Meadows area.
Bridges, the Meadows.
Over the past few years, we have presented the Imagination Library to other Rotary clubs, with the idea that hopefully they'll get to join in. But as everyone here knows, Rotary clubs don't join. And everyone does their own thing. So there's been no take-up from the other Rotary clubs in town. And there's been a bit of a disappointment from that point of view. But it has developed in a scheme that the the Dolly Parton Imagination Library at Nottingham is now the second largest, second largest.
Third largest. Third largest in the country.
In the country.
But the first two are both local authority funded ones.
So we've had to work for our money, whereas the others have just signed it off. So that's quite an achievement that we've done, haven't we? And we've also made the principle that we will try not to knock on the traditional Rotary Club of Nottingham funding. Any funding we will go for is external new funding, and the club itself, all they've done, they paid £500 contribution over the years. But this is just what's been going off. The real meat of it is, well, Peter's going to tell you about the numbers, where we're at, where we're going to.
Thank you, Lenny. Well, just to really follow on from that, I think one of the key things to it is really that we have, as Lenny said, got these governance meetings every 3 or 4 months a year, chaired mainly by Councillor David Mellon, who's the City Council councillor responsible for children's services. We invariably get the Deputy Chief Executive there, so it does show the level that we're looking at. And we also get the Imagination Library UK Director comes. So we get up-to-date information from the Dolly Parton Foundation in the UK. And I think that's quite important because having Candida Brudenell there, the Deputy Chief Executive, she's put a certain amount of weight behind it. David Mellon has put his mind to it to drive it forward. It was in fact in the Labour Party manifesto when they had the elections for City Council that the whole of the city would have an imagination library. We're now moving towards that because, as Lenny just said, we've already got 9 wards signed up. We've got 2 more coming on stream. I think there are 20 wards for the city, so that puts us just about halfway there. There's another couple of years to go as far as the City Council's concerned. So it's interesting that this additional money has suddenly become available, and I won't ask where it's from, but the idea is that it is for areas, wards that are adjoining the Small Steps Big Changes wards, so that it means that the peripheral areas are also beginning to benefit. Just on the numbers, on the Bilbra scheme, which was the original one, as Lenny said, commenced in about May 2012, so the 5 years are up and we're now getting graduations coming through, i.e. they've completed the 5 years, they've had their 60 books and they're now well into school, and the City Council are talking about having a Dolly event in October of this year, and part of that will probably be a graduation ceremony for those that have passed out, if you like, i.e. reached the age of 5+. And so far as the Bilbra scheme is concerned, we've got 568 children registered, and we have delivered 21,000 books since it started. The Castle Cavendish scheme, which is the Iceland Green, Radford and Dunkirk areas, where Castle Cavendish have contributed £125,000, or are doing so over the 5 years, and it comes in quarterly, so we know the money comes in regularly, and Brian keeps a finger on that. They've got 928 children registered at the present time. They did say they wanted 1,000. We did get up to the 1,000, and because of that, we had to stop registrations in the Iceland Green and the Dunkirk areas. But because of the transient population in those areas, children move away, and therefore they've dropped off. So the numbers are slightly below 1,000, but it just means that this scheme can continue on a little bit longer because we have got money in the kitty, and the Radford scheme, which is part of the Castle Cavendish, will be able to fund children for a little bit longer. But as I say, 928 registered in the Castle Cavendish areas, and in those areas there have been 34,000 books delivered. As far as the small steps, big changes are concerned, the lottery, Arboretum, Aspley Ball and St Anne's, that started in April 2015, and they've got just over 2,000 children registered, and they've delivered 25,000 books. And then there's a small scheme at Ginogly Strelly Academy, which is basically for children's age 3 and 4. It's a one-off scheme, that one, with private sponsors. But they've got 61 children registered, and there's 1,200 books been delivered there. So total to date, 85,000 books have been delivered, and we've at the moment got 3,700 children registered. And it's just interesting to note that over the period that it's been running, I mean, the Rotary Club, I think, can be said to have raised in excess of £200,000, including the Castle Cavendish money, which continues to flow in. So although it hasn't actually been raised, it is money that's promised and committed. So that's the sort of situation there.
Have the council done any work on how it's improved literacy levels? Because I know a big problem within the city schools is that the children come in at such a low level that you know, they have to, the teachers have to work so hard to get them up to a level where they can actually start to perform at national levels or whatever. And I get it in the school where I'm chair, you know, and does this help that they have books before they actually get to reception or whatever?
This actually came up at the governance meeting last week. Dolly Parton have actually done some statistics and some research on this one, and they're going to let us have those figures. That won't specifically be for Nottingham, because as far as Nottingham's concerned, we've only just got to the stage where the children have gone into school, so it's difficult to get the measure of it as one of the problems.
But those children that will be in reception class come September, who are 5 now, and they will be tested the first week that they're in school, and would they be able to, any positive benefit of where they're starting off from where kids in previous years have started off who haven't had 5 years worth of books?
The other difficulty on that one is they're in a number of different schools, so it's penny numbers, that's the problem. But the city, we have talked to the City Council on that one, and they were going to break down where the graduations are being and identify which schools they were.
David Nolan did mention last week that I asked him the question, are we getting annual returns on literacy levels? And he says the numbers are starting to go up, but it's such a long-term operation as far as we're concerned. It's very difficult to respond to what you say.
But I mean, that in fact is
because that's the problem within the majority of city schools, is that the kids are coming in at such a low level. It takes them, you know, till they get to year 6 before they're, you know, and then they've probably never caught up. And it's getting that, you know, you're getting them in at a high level and then moving them on quickly so that they're learning quicker.
Well, hopefully that will come through in the figures that are shown, but give it another 2 or 3 years and then we really should see the benefits from it. But in fact, that is one of the key factors. If we had that information, it would make it very much easier to sell to commercial organisations, because there would be a key benefit there. I mean, the other long-term benefit of the whole scheme is that, of course, it will improve the employability prospects of the children. But of course, that's another 10 years, 15 years down the line. So, you know, it's difficult to sell that one now.
But
In
without
theory,
that
it should
sort
work.
of statistics, like you say, you know, there's lots of other places within the city who could benefit from this if we could only raise the money from private organisations.
But it's difficult to get people to commit like that.
If you can prove that it's actually doing some good,
It'd be a good one for the university, perhaps, to get involved in the longer term.
Both universities have
You know,
got a
add its
bit
weight
cash,
to the
haven't they?
research.
I mean, the City Council have got a girl who's doing, she got 2 days a week now or something. And one of her roles is to actually look at approaching and doing presentations to commercial organisations. And the trouble is, Lenny and I just haven't got the time to pick all that sort of thing up. And we did talk to the West Bridgeford Club, and they had a lot of bright ideas, but they hadn't got any manpower to put behind it. So, you know, that's fine. The other point which did come out of Friday's meeting, which I think was quite helpful, was the fact that we raised the issue about trying to get the spin-off benefit from it by encouraging the libraries to participate and do reading schemes for young children within the libraries linked to the books that were being sent, so that we get the children into the libraries and the parents into the libraries and get them used to using the books there. And that again must have a beneficial effect.
Well done, Hayden.
Excellent.